Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a really profound question, one that affects us all. How do time and, changing circumstances actually shape our deepest beliefs, our purpose?
It's a huge question.
Yeah, and our mission here, looking at the sources, is to explore how people, how whole communities can navigate that, how they can be transformed and not corrupted as time goes on.
Right. And history, well, it gives us some really powerful lessons here about holding on to integrity, keeping the mission clear, even when things get tough. We'll be looking at ancient texts, key historical moments.
Okay, let's jump right in. Thinking about that period right after AD 70, after Jerusalem fell, that wasn't just a physical destruction, was it?
No, not at all. It created this huge internal conflict within Jewish society itself.
You had the Nazarene Jews, the early followers of Jesus, believing he was the Messiah.
And then the Pharisee Jews who were still waiting, and the clash between them was intense.
Seriously intense. The sources mention violence, even someone like Paul getting stoned while preaching. It shows you how deeply felt these beliefs were.
And what's really fascinating is how this spilled over into interpreting Scripture. It became a battleground.
How so?
Well, the Nazarenes often used the Septuagint, that existing Greek translation from way back around 250 BC, for their evangelism.
Right.
But the Pharisee Jews, wanting to push back against the claims about Jesus, they started developing their own interpretations, even creating different Greek translations in some cases.
So not just arguing, but actively changing the texts or how they were read.
Exactly. Or at least promoting interpretations that cast doubt.
Yeah.
The key example is Isaiah 7:1. The Septuagint translates the Hebrew using the Greek word parthos, meaning virgin.
Which supports the virgin birth narrative.
Precisely. But some Pharisee versions or interpretations may be pointing to texts like those found later in the Dead Sea Scrolls using the Hebrew word Elma, which just means young woman. They use this to question that specific prophecy about Jesus.
Wow. And it went further, didn't it? Didn't they start omitting things from readings?
Yes, some sources suggest they actually started skipping prophecies like the suffering servant in Isaiah 52 and 53 during synagogue readings, presumably to, counter the Nazarene teachings that Jesus fulfilled those very prophecies.
So this theological and linguistic battle, it really forces a separation.
It inevitably leads there.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the Council of Jamnia, around AD 90. This is seen as a key moment where Nazarenes, the early Christians basically, were formally distinguished, separated from the mainstream Jewish religion of the time.
Okay, so they're now distinct. Does that solve the problems or just create new ones?
Well, it shifted things. Maybe some of that internal Jewish persecution lessened, but the early church then faced, different pressures. Oppression from Rome, certainly, but also, and this is critical, internal threats.
From inside the church itself?
Yes. The rise of false teachers, people pushing ideas like Gnosticism. This was a big one, kind of a humanistic heresy, claiming special secret knowledge was the key, often downplaying the physical reality of Jesus. It struck at the heart of their beliefs.
It does seem like external attacks can sometimes make a group stronger, more unified, but that internal stuff, that's insidious.
Exactly. And it's a pattern we've seen repeat, even much more recently.
Like with Shinyanji in Korea.
Yeah, think about the 90s, the 2000s. Shinyanji sort of inherited these mixed heretical ideas and systematically infiltrated mainstream churches.
How?
By targeting people who felt, maybe, that their own church wasn't giving them deep enough Bible study. They exploited a spiritual thirst.
Creating confusion, division.
Massive confusion. It shows how internal issues, maybe complacency, losing sight of the mission, even just worldly concerns creeping in can lead to real corruption. It echoes the fall of the temple in a way. External pressure versus internal decay.
And you have figures like John around that same time, 80-90, really standing firm against those Gnostic ideas. A real contrast.
A very powerful contrast. So the takeaway here seems to be that time passing isn't inherently good or bad for belief. It doesn't automatically mean growth.
It can just mean drifting, forgetting.
Yeah. Or corruption. And often that corruption isn't forced from outside, it bubbles up from within. From complacency, losing focus on your core purpose, it's a constant struggle, really.
That really lands. So for you listening, here's something to think about. As time moves on in your own life, how are you changing in your beliefs, your purpose? Are you actively working towards transformation, towards growth? Or is maybe comfort, convenience leading towards a kind of subtle corruption? Are you prioritizing what's easy over what's true, making compromises?
That's the challenge for all of us. We'd encourage you to really reflect on your own mission, whatever that means for you. Stay humble and try to live faithfully according to those core values in everything you do.